mounting amid nationwide protests. Agnipath scheme age limit has now been raised for the first year to 23 from 21 amid the protests that we saw that turned violent and only intensified beyond several states. Now the upper age limit has been raised from the age 21 to 23. Let's go straight across to NDTV's Vishnu Shom, who has been tracking the details of the story. Vishnu, what more can you share with us?
So very importantly, this is just a one-time basis. So we need to carefully mention that. The age has been changed from 21 to 23 on a one-time basis. And for the last 2 years, there was no recruitment which took place into the armed forces. And therefore, a lot of people who were waiting for the recruitment to start found that they were overage as per the new Agnipath scheme which was announced. Now, for a one-time basis, taking into account all the protests which are taking place across the country, the government has increased the age limit from 21 to 23. So those people who felt left out because all of a sudden they became overage now actually have the opportunity of trying out for the Agnipath scheme and possibly qualifying.
All right, Vishnu, thanks very much for those details. So you're essentially saying that it's important to mention that this is a one-time change to the Agnipath scheme that was recently announced by the centre amid protests now, as we saw, that spread across several states like Delhi, Haryana, Rajasthan, Bihar. Age limit has now been raised to 23. So as Vishnu is pointing out, that this is a one-time change, essentially saying that for those who felt left out of this scheme can in fact actually now be a part of it. So in a first change to the Agnipath plan by the centre that recently announced it, amid these protests, we are now seeing news coming in that the age limit has been raised to 23. Of course, the Agnipath scheme age limit has now been raised for the first year to 23 from 21 amid nationwide protests. Remember, we have been seeing visuals of those protests throughout the day. In some states, in fact, in Bihar, it was the second consecutive day on Thursday that we saw those protests turning violent, with army aspirants telling the centre, demanding from the centre that this Agnipath scheme be taken back. But now, as we are learning and as news is coming, that the government's move after this protest across several states in the country. However, as Vishnu was pointing out, that this is a one-time change to the Agnipath scheme that the government had announced. We did see visuals of young army aspirants saying that they were not happy with this. But we will, of course, be tracking the details of that story. So a quick recap for viewers just joining us, that the one-time change to the Agnipath scheme, the upper age limit raised from 21 to 23.